This is the Padres POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Diego Padres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
On the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. And another very tough one in Miami for the San Diego Padres. They dropped their second in a row by a run to lose the series 2-1 against the lowly Marlins. And this team has played more rookies than anybody this year. Former Cy Young Award winner from 2 years ago, Sandy Alcantara. Yeah, they made him look like he's winning the Cy Young this year, even though he did not have electric stuff, even though his off-speed stuff was not quite what you would expect it to be for a guy of his level. And he's been struggling this year. And even though it's the Marlins, they have trouble scoring runs, but not as much trouble as the Padres do. Another late rally falls short. Manny Machado with another throwing error that leads to a run. And there you have it. It's just like that. Very simple that your Padres dropped this game today. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. Want to thank you so much for making us your first watch or listen every day right here with the postcast or the podcast, Locked On Padres podcast with Javier Reyes, day in and day out. And, of course, the postcast right after every game, live on YouTube. And then we upload so you can download Apple, iHeart, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and, of course, Roku. You download OTT. Yeah, you know me. We're free, and we are live right now on YouTube with your Padres postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease, Gries, at Jim Grease _ on social media. What do you say we kick this thing into high gear? Let's roll with your Padres postcast.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, another tough loss for the Padres. Really abysmal. Things are going a little bit slow on StreamYard right now, so it's all over the place with the stuff that I'm playing, but you get the gist of it. I won't play any more videos if I don't need to anyway. But a couple of benchmarks to get to, but a 2-run home run off the bat of Jesus Sanchez, one of the more talented guys, young guys in the game, right? And that was a big one for the Marlins and Sandy Alcantara. I mean, the 2022 Cy Young Award winner coming off Tommy John surgery and didn't pitch at all last year. You know what I mean? Just unbelievable how good they made him look today. They have not been hitting at all, and they've been making every starting pitcher they face look unbelievable. And that's something that, they're really going to have to address at the deadline. We've talked about this. And while you're here, smash that subscribe, hit that bell so you get alerted when we come your way with more content and so much more right here. But man, Dylan Cease 3-10 now, right? He's 3-10. We just had Pivetta hit double digits on the right side of the column. On the left side, this is on the right side. Dylan Cease 3-10. I mean, 3-10. He didn't pitch badly today at all, but he was up and down. We saw some of that inconsistency that we've seen from Dylan Cease. So a pitcher's duel, no doubt, between Alcantara and Dylan Cease. And Dylan Cease struggled with his control early in this game. And here's a big reason why the Padres were losing in this series the last couple of games, right? Because back-to-back walks from Dylan Cease to start the game. This is where it's been maddening. He has the stuff, for double-digit strikeouts every start. You know what I mean? And he, in that inning, it's a microcosm of Dylan Cease. He walks two guys to start the inning, all right? So that's how it starts with Dylan Cease. He walks two guys to start the game. And this is the bottom half. Of course, they went 1-2-3 in their part of the first inning, the Padres, and just a really tough one. Fernando grounds out, Arias grounds out, and Machado strikes out swinging. Then in the bottom of the first, you get what you get from the Padres and Dylan Cease specifically, right? This is the biggest storyline of the game, the pitcher's duel between Alcantara and Cease, right? Well, 2 walks in a row, Edwards and Sanchez put on base by Dylan Cease. And if you look at Edwards, it's a 4-pitch walk to start the game, right? And there you go ahead 0-2 on Sanchez, and you let him fight back and draw the walk. So right away, you got runners on first and second with nobody out. Well, here comes the great side, not the good side, the great side of Dylan Cease. From there, Dylan Cease, what does he do? 2 strikeouts in a row. Lopez and Stowers back to back, right? So 2 strikeouts in a row following the 2 walks. And then Ramirez gets him with a 2-run single. And you're playing with fire, right? You're playing with fire. I'm sorry, that was just an RBI single. Made it 1-0. RBI single. It makes it 1-0 before you even blink. It's 1-0. And, you know, that happens a lot with the Padres. And then in the 4th inning, Manny Machado singles in Luis Ariz. And Ariz had a single early in the game, and more on him in a minute. So it's 1-1. New life for Dylan Cease. He's looking really good. You know, he gives up a 2-out double in the 4th inning, but gets out of it. Yeah, just still, though, the Padres making Alcantara. This dude looked amazing out there today against them. He hasn't been very good this year in general, but against the Padres, he looked great today. Looked absolutely fantastic. And that's something that, you know, they've done with a lot of pitchers lately. They've made them all look really good. So Alcantara, you know, when he did get in a little bit of trouble here and there, he'd wipe it out with a double play. And it happened, you know, pretty regularly in this game. Then we get to the 5th inning, and this is where it's been really troubling because Cease had really settled down after those 2 walks to start the game, gave up, you know, that run. And that was something where, you know, 2 walks in a row, 2 strikeouts in a row, gives up the run. Then, man, this is a 2-run home run to Sanchez. And Sanchez, again, one of the top younger guys. Everybody loves this kid. You know, I did Marlins last year on Lockdown. This kid they love him in Miami. But here's what the thing is. Sanoja leads off the inning, and Manny Machado throws the ball away. For the 2nd day in a row, an unearned run scores as a result of a Manny throwing error. Now, yesterday, it scored on the throw, right, period, and throws it away. The run scores. A lot of it had to do with Ariz being inexperienced at first, didn't come off the bag enough, chased it down. Nobody was backing up, and that was part of it yesterday. But today, Manny throws it away. All right, well, you kind of figure, you know, you get the next guy to fly out to center field. Double play gets you out of the inning. Certainly, Manny contributed to the rally in this inning with the error, and then the unearned run scores on the homer by Sanchez. So 1 earned, 1 unearned in that inning. So 2 earned runs, 1 unearned for Cease. More on him in a minute. But again, just Alcantara looking like that Cy Young Award winner. It's 3-1, and he's not giving anything up, man. He's really pitching well, and he's into the 7th inning. You know what I mean? And then the Padres in the 8th inning add 1. Iglesias singles in Merrill, who led off with a double to right field. Cronenworth advanced him over with a ground ball. But, you know, right there was a huge moment in the game. And again, the Padres get to within 1 late. Again, they have an opportunity to knock in that run. They have an opportunity to knock in that run, and they're just unable to do it. And when you look at their, you know, 2 for 6 with runners in scoring position, 3 for 10 yesterday, they have not been getting it done. Fernando still in a miserable slump, hitting 260. You know, Jackson Merrill, his average is all the way down to 260 as well. Luis Ariz, the 3-time batting champ, is at 285. And Manny's been cooling off a lot lately, too. He's back down to 285, even though he had 2 hits today. So, again, we talk about it every day. I've been getting myself in trouble talking about the trade deadline. I got to leave that to Javi with your Padres podcast, Locked On Padres podcast, because I start talking about what they need to do with the deadline, the trades they can make. And next thing you know, I'm going over on time, and I'm supposed to be doing a postcast of today's game. But day in and day out, when they're not hitting the ball, day in and day out, when they're not putting runs on the board, day in and day out, when these rallies are falling short, then you commit an error. You have no room for error when you're the Padres at all. Dylan Cease walks the first 2 guys of the game, strikes out the next 2, right? Walks the leadoff guy and the number 2 hitter, strikes out your 3 and 4 guys, your best 2 hitters, and then your 5-hole guy, you know, he gets a hit through and the run scores, and then the throwing error on Manny, then the home run, and that's the only runs they would need, right? They added a couple of runs late yesterday, but and again today they add 1 late, but they just can't push that run across when they really need to. They can't get that big hit when they need to, and they win a lot of 1-run games. They do because their bullpen's so great and because defensively they've been flawless. But again, these last 2 games, Manny with throwing errors that led to runs in 2 1-run losses. So you had the pitchers duel with Cease and Sandy, and then you had Manny with the errors in back-to-back games, and again with the offense not coming through with the big hits when you need them. The struggles with Fernando. Merrill looks to be snapping out of it a little bit these last couple of games, but they need so much help at the deadline. I will leave that to Javi because, like I said, it's been causing me to go over and take me off that path of just doing the post-game show. But day in and day out, when they're not scoring and they're not pushing those runs across, it gets really difficult to find new ways to describe it. other than to say, let's go, AJ Preller. You got a little bit of time and a couple of things you need to do. Sort of like us here. We still have your turning point. We still have your star of the game, and we still have a chance to get you ready for tomorrow. Jim Greasehaber, Call Me Grease, Padres Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, right here on your Locked On Padres podcast channel on YouTube, where we're live right after every game. Right after the game, we're live, and then after the live show on YouTube, if you want to download or listen to the audio version, we're on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean, wherever you get your podcast. Then you down with OPP? Of course not. But OTT, hey, over-the-top television, we're free on Roku as well. So we have the podcast every day with Javi, the postcast after every game with me. We're free everywhere, and we are live on YouTube right after the games. Jim Greasehaber, Call Me Grease. Again, the turning point, star of the game, so much more coming your way. Padres Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. First, a word from our sponsors, and great deals for you because you're a part of that rising tide with the network. Let's go. And I get a chance to talk to you about our good friends at Monarch Money. Ever wish your money was easier to manage, feels easier to manage it? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control of your finances. Very simple. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center, is what it is. And Monarch Money can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth, right? And that's a huge key. I think one surprising thing, maybe the biggest surprising thing to me with Monarch Money was when I started tracking my spending, I realized I go way too hard with the apps, with the food delivery services and things like that. Just the convenience, right? I go way too deep on that. So managing my money with Monarch, it really helped me there. I realized how much I was spending. I dialed it back, and now I have more control over my finances, and you can too. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's half, right? Monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year with Monarch Money on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? No, you called the next one. That's why having a reliable business line is so important, and that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. If you've juggled 2 phones at once, here's the bad phone, keeping those personal and business calls separate, OpenPhone solve that instantly. And what about your whole team? You can now share one number with your team, respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more, hey, who's got this? You got it. Y'all got it. Anybody can get it. And the AI agent, after hours, well, that's going to answer the calls and answer common questions, capture leads, so we never miss a customer again. And right now, OpenPhone is offering Locked On Padres podcast and postcast listeners and viewers 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's OPENPHONE, openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Jim Greasehaber, Call Me Grease, 3-2. Marlins, they win the series 2-1. Very, very discouraging for the Padres and for Padre fans right now. The Friar fanatics, the Friar faithful, you guys are dying right now. Dylan Cease struggled with control early. 2 walks back-to-back in the first lead to an RBI single. A throwing error by Manny leads to a 2-run homer that should have been a solo shot with 2 out, and maybe it would have changed the way the pitches were coming in, and it wouldn't have been a homer for Jesus Sanchez, but that was all she wrote. Again, you can't hit with runners in scoring position. Again, a late rally falls short. Again, you're popping pitches up that you should be driving, and easy for me to say right? But that's pretty much the gist of what happened here tonight, as Dylan Cease with 2 earned runs, 3 runs allowed total. The 9th home run of the year for Sanchez put the Marlins up 3-1, and then heading into the 6th, Cease is pulled. And then Sandy Alcantara worked all the way through 7 innings. Did a great job. Jose Iglesias with an RBI single, scored Jackson Merrill, who had doubled, to make it 3-2. Manny had an RBI single earlier in the game, scoring Luis Ariz, but no, they just couldn't get it done. Back-to-back 1-run losses against the Marlins, and they were in 3rd place in the wild card race. But now here's what you got. Okay, you got 4 in St. Louis, 3 at home against the Mets, and 3 at home right back with the Cardinals. So 7 against St. Louis. You can find me in St. Louis, and then 3 against the Mets. Now, the Mets are ahead of the Padres in the wild card race right now, right? And the Cardinals are right behind them, so right on their heels. And the Cardinals are so far behind the Cubs and Brewers in the Central. They're literally, for the most part, playing for a wild card right now. And the Padres, with the Dodgers having not played yet, and the Giants pounding their opponent today, the Braves, it's like 5.5 back are the Giants and 4 back are the Padres. So you're up a game and a half still on San Francisco, and you are 4 in back of the Dodgers. Again, the Dodgers play a little bit later today. So, and that about a half hour from now. So that's where you're at right now in the standings. That's where everything is happening with the Padres, and it's just a tough one right now for them. And I don't see Dylan Cease, in such a bad light right now. I don't think he was terrible today by any means, but I definitely don't think he won the game for you. He didn't do what he needed. Let me just rephrase that. He didn't do what he needed to do for you to win the game, right? So when you look at Dylan Cease out there today, 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. The 2 of those 3 walks were the first 2 hitters of the game. Then you strike out 2 because he's got great stuff. It's electric, right? But then just unable to get it done. And again, Hart pitches 2 innings in relief, Morgan an inning in relief, scoreless, right? But only one player on your team had 2 hits. It's Manny. And with runners in scoring position, you're 2 for 6 after another tough one yesterday. And then for the Marlins, you got your guy on the mound who won the Cy Young just 3 years ago in Sandy Alcantara. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. It was unearned. And he struck out 4, and he still threw under 100 pitches at 98, coming off that Tommy John surgery. All right, Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Got to wrap it up and get out of here. A couple of things to do, short time to do it in. First things first, let's do the turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
And there he is right there, Manny Machado, big part of the turning point of this game with the Padres. And it was just a tough inning for Manny, and a tough series for Manny, back-to-back games with a throwing error that led to an unearned run for his pitchers. And Manny hates that as much as anybody. One of the best defensive third basemen we've ever seen. Committing errors like that is, a little bit alarming. So when you look at Manny, who had just tied the game in the 4th on an RBI single, Luis Ariz scored. So Fernando grounds out, Ariz singles. He goes to second on an error on a pickoff by the catcher, Fortes, and then Manny singles him in. So it's an unearned run, but it ties the game nonetheless. Well, then what happens in the bottom of the 5th inning? Now, Manny's hit was in the 4th inning, top of the 4th, but in the bottom of the 5th inning, Manny Machado, who you see on your screen right there, commits an error. So Sanoja grounds toward third. Manny throws it away, and bang, 1 out later, Jesus Sanchez with a 2-run homer makes it 3-1, and the Padres only ended up scoring 2. So unfair to put all of it on Manny or even Dylan Cease, who pitched. Schulte said it after the game. Cease pitched pretty well. All right, next thing we got to get to right here is the star of our show.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Manny had 2 hits for the Padres, but he had that error and, couldn't come through late when they needed him. No real player of the game for San Diego, although Kyle Hart was good out of the bullpen, and so was Morgan. So if you're going to pick one, it'd be one of those 2 because the bullpen's been great all year anyway. But there he is, Sandy Alcantara, the 2022 Cy Young Award winner for the Marlins, who's been really not good this year. I know That's not the best way to say it, but he has not been good this year at all. And they made him look great today. And they've been doing that with everybody lately. So he's 5-9. His ERA is up there at 6.66, the number of the beast. How about that? He was a beast out there for the Padres. They could not figure him out. But look, the Padres go to St. Louis to start a 4-gamer, and then they play him again after the Mets series. So 4 at the Cardinals, 3 against the Mets, 3 against the Cardinals, both those series at home. So huge home games coming up. You want to make sure you're in the house for those. The Pods and the Cardinals tomorrow. First pitch, 4:45 p.m. Pacific. Yu Darvish and Sonny Gray. 0-2, 6.08 for you. And he's making his 4th start since coming back off the injury. Looking better each game, though, so you might get a good one from him. And then Gray is 9-4 with a 4.04. The Cardinals pitchers might shut the Padres out 4 games in a row. The deadline is looming. Javi's every day with the podcast. We are with the postcast as well. We're up against the end of the show on the clock. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Thank you for watching / listening to your Padres postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We love that you watch the podcast. Listen to that with Javi, myself for the postcast, live on YouTube after every game. And then we upload, you download wherever you get your audio version. We're free and on Roku OTT. And if that's not enough for you, check out Locked On MLB Game Night on YouTube, Locked On MLB YouTube. Every game, every night, all season long, local analysis on a national scale. We'll be back tomorrow after game 1 against the Cardinals. They lose 2 out of 3 in Miami after taking 2 out of 3 in Washington, and they are 3-3 on this road trip. Not where they wanted to be heading into the 4 in St. Louis, but some wins there. You'll forget all about it. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Thank you for watching your Padres postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Keep your game tight and your mind right, Padre fan. I am